Sometimes life has a way of bringing us together, only to tear us apart. It whispers promises of love, of forever, and then suddenly we're left with only the echoes of what once was. But there are some loves that time cannot erase, no matter how many years, how many miles, or how many obstacles stand in the way. Because love has a way of finding its way back, even when we least expect it. This is the story of two souls, Ethan, a Pisces man, and Clara, a Scorpio woman, whose love was fated to be, only to be torn apart by the forces of life, but destined to find its way back. It wasn't a coincidence. It wasn't just another fleeting moment. The first time their eyes met, it felt like the universe itself held its breath. Ethan was sitting quietly at a cafe, lost in his own world, a dreamer with a heart full of untold stories. And then she walked in. Clara, with her quiet confidence, her intensity, and a presence that seemed to draw the world's attention. In that instant, something changed. Their paths crossed, their lives intersected, and for a brief moment, they were the only two people in the room. Ethan's heart raced as if he had known her in another life, perhaps even before. And Clara, for all her guarded nature, felt something stir inside her, a spark, an undeniable connection, one she couldn't explain. They both knew in that moment that something extraordinary was happening. As their days together unfolded, they shared pieces of themselves in a way that only two people destined for each other could. Ethan, with his gentle, compassionate nature, found a kindred spirit in Clara. She, with all her passion and fierceness, saw in Ethan a tenderness she had never known. Together, they created something beautiful, a love built on trust, on dreams, on moments of laughter, and quiet conversations that felt timeless. Ethan, the Pisces, was the dreamer, lost in the depths of his imagination. Clara, the Scorpio, was the protector, intense and determined, guarding her heart, yet pouring everything she had into their bond. They were a perfect balance, a force to be reckoned with. Their love was pure, real, and unbreakable, or so they thought. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. Sometimes love isn't enough to keep us together. Sometimes life demands that we grow, that we chase dreams, that we leave the ones we love behind, even when our hearts scream not to. Ethan's journey took him far away, to places he had to go, dreams he had to pursue. And Clara, as fiercely as she loved him, knew that the life they had together couldn't survive if they were living apart. The pain of that separation was not something either of them could have prepared for. There were no angry words, no bitter fights, only quiet goodbyes and unspoken sorrow. They parted ways, not because they stopped loving each other, but because sometimes love requires sacrifice. Years passed. Life moved on as it always does. Ethan traveled, found new paths, new faces, and though he tried to bury the memories of Clara, there was a quiet ache that never quite healed. And Clara, though she found herself in new relationships, in new phases of her life, couldn't forget the man who had once touched her soul in a way no one else ever could. Their love, deep, passionate, unforgettable, lingered in their hearts, like a song that played softly in the background, never truly fading, just waiting. Then one day out of the blue, Ethan received a message. It was an invitation to an art gallery opening. He almost didn't open it. But when he saw the name of the artist, Clara, it felt like time had stopped. His heart skipped a beat, and for a moment, it was as if the years between them had never passed. The connection, the love, it was still there. He had to go. He couldn't ignore it. And so, he found himself standing outside the gallery, his pulse racing, unsure of what he would find, but knowing that he couldn't let this moment slip away. As Ethan stepped inside, the air was thick with anticipation. The gallery was bustling with people, but his eyes only searched for one person. And there, across the room, standing beside her artwork, was Clara. She hadn't changed, at least not in the ways that mattered. She was still that same fierce, captivating woman. But there was something else in her eyes now, a softness, a maturity, a quiet strength that only time could bring. And in that moment, when their eyes met again, everything came rushing back. The memories, the love, the loss, all of it. And for a second, neither of them knew what to do, what to say. So much had changed, yet nothing had changed at all. Clara broke the silence, her voice soft but filled with emotion. "Ethan," she said, her gaze steady, "I never thought I'd see you again." Ethan stood there, 1,000 thoughts racing through his mind. He could hardly believe it was real. But then he smiled, and the weight of the years apart seemed to lift just a little. "Clara," he replied, his voice thick with emotion, "I never stopped thinking about you, never stopped missing you." And in that moment, they both knew that this was the second chance they had been waiting for. The moment their love had been patiently waiting for all these years. No more running, no more doubts. Love had found its way back, and they were ready to embrace it. Because sometimes we need time to grow, to understand ourselves, to know what we truly need. But love doesn't disappear. It waits. It waits for the right time, for the right moment, and for the right person to come back to it. Some loves are written in the stars. Some loves are fated to be. Ethan and Clara's love was one of those. Timeless, powerful, and unbreakable. No matter how far apart they were, no matter the time or distance, love always finds its way back. And now, after all these years, their love was ready to begin again. Love doesn't always come easily. Sometimes it takes a lifetime of heartache, mistakes, and learning. But when you find your soulmate, when you find the person who truly completes you, you know. And for Ethan and Clara, that love was written in the stars, destined to return again and again.